I can't recommend this enough. Again, it takes practice. For the first few months, as I was practicing meditation, it was very difficult for me to get into this state and be able to meditate and let go, because my mind always things that
Right.
needs to be done. So it takes practice, all right? So I'm totally for meditation, and specifically about abundance. There is Steve Nobel meditation on abundance. One of my favorites. I cannot recommend this enough. You can search for it. It's on YouTube. He is so much connected, and he has beautiful meditation on abundance. So this is something that I definitely recommend.
I'm sorry, his name again was
Steve Nobel.
Stephen Nobel. Thank you.
Yeah. So I highly recommend it. On you know, on a broader scale, and if I take this up a little bit, and I just want you to know that I'm by no means criticizing or judging you. I just want to offer an observation, and I'm going to offer this observation based on the trial that we've just discussed. So you shared a lot of things with me, and I've heard a lot of focus on external sources.
Yasaf,
For obvious reasons. Yes, Majuba.
sorry, will you type in Stephen's full name in the chat box, just so we can get if anyone wants to look him up for meditation?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's Steve Nobel. I'm gonna type the link, abundance meditation, and I'll simply paste the link. 1 second. Of course, that right now it won't jump.
It's okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is. I found it. Okay, it's called the Flow Abundance Meditation, and I'm pasting it in the chat right now. To all panelists and attendees. This is the meditation of Steve Nobel. It's a beautiful one. I love it. Okay. And so for obvious reasons, everything that you've just told me that goes on in your life, there's a lot of focus on what's going on the inside. And I did not hear enough on the resources that you have. And so it was very much on, the news that's going on the outside. And meditation is something that totally can help you. Abundance is one. There are other meditations as well. And, maybe Steve Nobel, if you, it may not be the right tone for you, but it's definitely a place to start looking for. There are many apps also, for mindfulness and meditation. And of course, if you want to, have a breakthrough session with me, and we can talk about, the focused aspect and see how we can shift the focus back to you and the resources that you have, that's also an option. But again, that's just an observation, and this is by no means being criticizing you or anything like that. I hear that you are going through a lot. And sometimes we just need someone to put a mirror and a reflection on where the focus is. And I respect you for coming up and asking the question and sharing this with us, because it takes courage.
Yeah, I'm not offended at all. Thank you so much for your observation. When you're within your own brain, sometimes you can't observe yourself. You need somebody on the outside, and somebody that's not, I guess, like part of all of the things that are going on. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. And
Sure.
if there is anything else I can do to help, if there's a follow-up question or anything, let me know. I'm here to help.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Heba. All right. Any other questions? Raise your hand and I'll call on you, and you can ask your question directly from Yasaf.
Come on, guys. We're here to help. We're here to have some fun. And by the way, while you're tapping or raising your hand, Majuba, I want to circle back to something that you said earlier about breathing and how, breathing can help. So here's a fun fact for you all from, a physical point of view, a physiology point of view. Do you know what the difference between fear and excitement is? There is only one difference.
The amount of breathing?
The fact that we are breathing, exactly. Because when we are afraid, we tend to shrink because we want the danger to go away, to pass us. So we shrink and we do not breathe. Excitement triggers the exact circuits in our body, exact one, plus breathing. So the only difference between excitement and fear is the fact that we are breathing and we are circulating oxygen in our body.
Ah.
So I always say go for excitement rather than fear, And if someone will work with me and let's say he has a fear of heights, I don't want to take the fear from heights away, because then he may go on a cliff and he will fall down because he's no longer afraid of heights. No, but I want to put him in a position, and we want to get in a position where he is the one who is in control of the fear and not the other way around. Okay. So guys, Colin, tell me more. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I want to really, on a final note, end this with a request for each and every one of you. And I said at the beginning of the call that, I see you all as leaders just for showing up and be in a position where you understand that there is an opportunity and we have a responsibility. And so, Sean, I'm stopping this for a second because Sean has asked a question, and he asked, is there a way to fight negative thoughts? So Sean, I'm missing a lot of information. Would you like to, open the mic and talk with me for a second, or two, or three, or five?
Chanel, did you want me to allow you to talk? And Carolyn, I do see your hand up too. So once Chanel asks her question, we can address it. Let me know in the chat box. Yes, okay. It's actually Chanel, okay. But
okay.
She goes by, do you go by Sean or you just go by Chanel?
It's Chanel.
Chanel, awesome.
Okay, I'm sorry because it says Sean, so I'm sorry for getting your name wrong. Hey, and welcome.
I apologize. So my question is, one of my challenges have been, or currently is, I've constantly have to battle the negative thoughts. So constantly, it's like that inner voice that tells me, I can't, you won't. And so when I hear those it feels like I'm constantly battling those negative thoughts. And I've been struggling with this for, I want to say, my entire life. It's like those negative thoughts sometimes get louder than those thoughts that come out, those words that come out your mouth. So the negative thoughts tell me, you're not going to pass your PMP, no one is going to pay you no attention. And so all those thoughts are sometimes overwhelm me to the point I stopped trying, because I was like, well, maybe that's true. I started listening more to those negative thoughts than listening more to the possibility that it can happen, that doors will open. So that's my fear, that I work so hard and put in so much time to get my PMP or any goal I want to achieve, and at the end it will not produce the results that I'm hoping that it will produce.
So first of all, thank you for the question. That's an excellent question, and thank you for being so open and sharing this with us.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Can you tell me about the home that you grew up with? I mean, how your parents were in regards to achieving their goals?
Yeah, so my mom and dad were very much so, like, I want to use the word worker bees. They pretty much worked day in and day out. They made sure I gotten everything that I wanted and needed. And I'm the only child, so I grew up with very dedicated, very loving parents. And my mom and my dad really worked hard. Now I appreciate it as I've gotten older compared to when I was younger. I didn't really understand. But they worked really hard to provide with me everything I needed. I think my parents worked so much that they really didn't advocate. They made sure I went to school, but they were more so like, just do your best and everything will be fine and you'll get there. But I really wasn't. They really didn't push education on me so much. But I as I've gotten older, I've done very well as far as my education and my career. But it's like for the life of me, I still feel like I can't, and I don't know why I still battle that. I feel like I literally can't. After I've accomplished um, very well in my career, very well in my education, I sometimes look at my degrees and my education like that's not really me. It's really weird.
So,
So I really lack confidence.
mhm.
And I'm being I'm being honest. I lack confidence, honestly, when I look at my resume. I'm like, that must be somebody else. That's really not me, to the point I really don't value my career and my education as some people may. And it's a struggle. I don't know where it comes from. I cannot give you an actual event or pinpoint the actual event that occurred in my life where it started, but I know that self-esteem insecurities have a lot to do with that.
So, I the first question that comes to mind is who did you model it from? Because there's someone in your life that you modeled this from who influenced you in a way, consciously or subconsciously. But I want to ask something else. You brought
Mm-hmm.
up the example of passing the PMP exam twice. So I want to ask you, why do you want to pass the PMP exam?
Oh, I haven't taken it yet.
Yeah, I know, but why do you want to take it?
Um, well, I've been in the field for quite some time, and I think that it would definitely. First, I'm learning a lot with the PMP, and I've been in the field, but I have not learned the foundation of it. And I want to take it and
I'm
have it
stopping
because
you
I know.
intentionally right now. I'm stopping you intentionally because I want to break the pattern. So, excuse me, I'm not being rude. Why
Okay,
you want to pass the PMP exam?
because I know that it will, open up doors and is acknowledged in the industry as um, is really acknowledged in the industry, and it will look good on my resume. That's pretty
Okay.
much
Why do you want it to look good on your resume?
because I wanted to open up and provide me more opportunities.
Why do you want more opportunities?
To do something more different, to explore different options, and to have the ability to tap into those options that I probably wouldn't be able to tap into if I didn't have it.
Okay, so why do you want to tap into those options?
To do more, do something different.
Do more what?
Do more, do more in my field, and
You were
have
breaking
it,
up.
just to have it.
Repeat the last sentence, please, because you're breaking up.
Sure, to do more in my field and to have it, and to make more money, and to possibly get a higher position.
Okay, so if I'll give you a $5 raise each and every month, will this be sufficient?
I would probably say a little bit more than $5, but we can talk about
Okay.
more.
My reflection to you is that I think that your why isn't strong enough.
Okay.
So I see two things. One, there's some sort of model that you picked up that says play safe. That's how I see things. Tell me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong, but there is a model that says stay safe and keep what is familiar, and so you stick with what is familiar to you, and it's about making the changes and growing up. And the other thing is that the why isn't big enough.
I can see it.
Your why has to enlighten you, and it has to be the reason why you wake up in the morning and do what it is that you do. I'm currently living my dream right now. I'm empowering people. This is why I wake up in the morning each and every day. This is what I will work for. This is what I will travel halfway around the world for. I'll give it. I would say this bluntly. I would do it for free if I could. I still have to provide for my family, but for me, it's not about the money. It's my mission. This is what I live for. And I want you to reflect on the energy in my voice when I say it versus the energy that you had in your voice speaking about physiology and the triad. As I asked you, and I was trying to go 7 layers deep, Why do you want to pass the PMP exam? You have to find a stronger why and a bigger why. Make sense?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I was just thinking more for professional growth. It would look good on my resume. It would open up more doors. I'd make more money. Yeah, that's pretty much the meat of it. The gist of
So all the conventional things that everybody keeps talking about.
I'm sorry?
All the conventional things that everybody is talking about, and they may apply to you in some level, but they are not really things that, you know, spice up things for you and the stronger why on your terms, because your why, you should be connected to it and know what it is. And there are tools to reinforce that why and work on the why and discover that why.
I wanna add to what Yasaf said is, for example, when I received my PMP exam, passed my PMP certification 6 years ago, I didn't know I was going to make a business out of it. But the PMP exam didn't only give me a 25% raise, but it allowed me to, I had always wanted to manage my own team. And without my PMP, and maybe the PMP gave me the courage to finally realize that I did have the intelligence, that I know what I was talking about. And I actually knocked on the COO's door and I said, I need you to make me a PMP. Excuse me, a project manager. And he said, Majuba, are you sure you can do it? I said, yes, I can do it. I got my PMP. I have my master's in IT project management. If I fail, then that's another thing, but I want you to give me an opportunity. He gave me that opportunity, and I think ultimately you already have in you to be an awesome project manager, right? But it's like almost, it gives you the encouragement. And then a few years down the road, I was like, you know what, there were so many people like me who didn't have a voice, who never knew their whys. And then so I started the training business. And if you look back, and I did that 4.5 years ago, and now there are like over 70 people in my class that I'm helping and training. So as you can see, write those big visions for you. But I do want you to touch on one thing, Yasaf, and this is something I think we can all relate to, is negative thoughts. How do we remove those negative thoughts when they do come about?
So I actually taken a note about that. And because as you were talking, I remember that I didn't really touch the fact of the negative thoughts. So here's my reflection. And I took a note because I saw few people writing that, you know, they had a similar question or strong why makes sense. So here's my reflection. Negative thoughts, or, you know, downsizing success, or finding a reason why not to do something, most of the time, because I just don't want to say this is an ultimate truth and absolute truth, but so I would say that most of the time they are fear-driven. Okay? And so we are conditioned for so many years to ignore our fears and push through our fears. Okay? And that's not how it works. If we are afraid of something, it means that there is a lesson that we have learned sometimes in our lives, okay, that we are trying to avoid. And so the point is, our system is trying to tell us something. There is something with our plan. There's something with the vision. There's something with the dream that we have that isn't solved yet, or we didn't plan enough for it. So what happens, it's keep coming back and it's keep holding us back. The point is to listen to the fear, okay, to give it space, and then understand what he's trying to teach us, and, you know, what signs he's trying to show us, and learn to take the lessons and be more educated and more smart in the way that we do things. We have this notions that we need to fight the fear or ignore the fear, or the fear is bad. fear is a tool that we can actually use. There is no courage without fear. I'm saying this again, there is no courage without fear. So it's a matter of listening to the messages. It's changing the frequency and listening to the messages. So if you ask me how to fight negative thoughts, I'd say understand what's underneath it. Listen to the voice, listen to the message that exists, behind those thoughts, and then build on it and have, a plan moving forward. There's a beautiful tool that we use in NLP, and it's called the Disney strategy. And it's actually taken from the way that Disney creates, movies, animation movies. It's based on their own strategy. And we use this tool with people who have those negative thoughts and fears about accomplishing stuff. And then we help them to listen, okay, to, the messages that are underneath, and then come up with a better plan. So I say don't fight them, just understand that there is a message there that needs to be heard. Once we understand that, we have a clear path forward, and then we are more connected with our own resources. I hope it makes sense. And then, Majuba, one more thing. You mentioned the word fail, or I can't fail, when you were talking earlier. And I want to say something. If you go to Google, and we all know Google, if you go to Google and you type in, I cannot fail, or no failure, or whatever, most chances are that you will find everything you need to know about failure.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Google, just like the human brain, it doesn't understand the word no. Okay? Because if I will tell you all, do not think of an apple right now, the first thing that will pop into your head is an apple. Okay? So what if there is no failure? What if each and every action we take is we have an action and then we get a feedback? What if we're successful just by taking action? I mean, most of the questions here were, about overcoming the fear. So what if we're successful just by taking the action, which means that we have learned our lessons, and we were, we had the courage to take action, and we are successful, okay, just by taking action. Then we have a feedback. We did an action. Maybe the feedback was exactly what we had hoped for. Maybe it was 80%. Maybe it was 20%. We're still 20% better, and we don't have to criticize ourselves. We can be flexible. Most important, we need to have fun doing what we're doing. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Okay.
Thank you, Yasaf.
So,
I do have a question from Carolyn. I want to make sure we address that question, and then I think we can wrap it up.
Sure.
Carolyn, go ahead. You have the mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hey, welcome. How are you?
Hi. So my question is, for some reason, I have a hard time focusing on one thing. I have to do multiple things at one time in order to stay focused. If I try and focus on one thing, too many things are coming in my head. But if I am, for instance, I'm listening to this meeting, and I hear and am capturing everything that you've said, but the whole time I've been typing something else. So basically doing two things at one time helps me to stay focused rather than doing one thing at one time. And I know that about myself, so I try and create that situation for myself every time I'm doing something. But now that our situation has changed and we have all of our family members home, now instead of having two things to keep myself focused on the one thing, I have 10 things, and then it becomes overwhelming.
Okay. So what is the question there exactly?
How do I stay focused without putting too many things to focus on at one time? You understand what I'm saying? Like, I know in myself, for some reason, I have to be doing two things at once for me to actually concentrate on what I'm doing and not end up thinking about, I don't know, an event from 4 weeks from now. I was just using that as an example.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that I understand the question, okay? So I'm going to reflect back on what I've heard and then tell me if I'm on the right spot. So it's not the fact that you need to do one thing in order to focus on the other. It's the fact that you now have too many things at the same time, so you are overwhelmed, right?
Exactly.
Okay. May I share a little personal story with you?
Sure.
I'm married to a wonderful lady by the name of Ari. She's the love of my life and definitely my better half. She's a hypersensitive person that also has the same thing. She needs to focus on other thing in order to be able to talk with me and to me. So it took me, I think, months to grasp the fact that when she's tapping something on her phone or playing with something on her phone, she actually listens to me. And if she doesn't do that, she cannot understand or be able to be engaged in a conversation with me. Okay, so I'm just trying this so you know that I know where you're coming from. Okay, I totally understand that some people need this. Sometimes I would call it distraction from one thing to just be able to focus. Okay, and so I would like to know more, if you don't mind sharing, how many people are currently in the house. What's the situation that's going on, and I would assume that there is a change now that everyone is in the house at the same time, correct?
Yes. So I've been working from home 100% remote for 8 years now. And it's usually myself home alone while the kids are at school and my fiance's at work, and I'm home alone with the dog and the cat, and that's it.
Okay.
And I know during that time frame that the kids are at school, I won't be interrupted, only by myself and whatever I need to do. But now I have my son who's 6, who's home, and then my daughter who's 14, who sometimes is a great helper with the 6-year-old, and other times I think she might kill him. So his attention span is literally seconds. He will ask you something, go do it, come back not even a minute later and have another question for you. So I'm trying to do my PMP studying, which I'm behind again on, and also work remotely and have a 6-year-old that comes to me constantly, and then the 14-year-old's complaining about the 6-year-old, and my fiance is playing video games and completely shut out from all of this because a bomb can go off and he wouldn't even know it happened.
Okay.
Because he
okay, I'm going to ask a question because it's something that I've learned, and observed some of this personally and some with other people who made the transition on a voluntary basis. Did you guys have to sit down and talk about how the rules have changed with the transition to working from home?
No, because I've been working from home for 8 years and my kids are aware. Like, my daughter knows when I'm working, she can't interrupt me and that sort of thing. But my son, he doesn't quite follow that rule because I don't know why, he just doesn't.
He was in school until the lockdown, right?
Yes, he was in school until the lockdown. And prior to that, he was in a daycare facility, which actually was even easier because then I could finish my work at 5 and go pick him up, which now he gets picked up from the bus stop at 3:45 and is home. And that last hour is even hard because he wants to talk to me. He wants to talk to me about what happened in school. He wants to, ask for a snack. He wants to snuggle me. So even that last hour when he gets home, normally before all this happened, was difficult. But now that last hour is my entire day.
Okay, so I'm going to say something that to me, I'm going to be honest and say that this is more from the coaching perspective and less from the NLP. It sounds to me like the reality has changed because yes, he was at school until a certain time of the day, and now he is you have a missing hour, you have a gap, and it sounds to me like your 14-year-old girl were at school but now she's at home, and your fiance, did he used to, work outside of home before the
Yes.
lockdown?
Yes, he
Okay.
worked outside of the home, and he actually has ADD. So when he focuses on something, he is so hyper focused, he does not hear anything going on around him. So unless I get up, walk upstairs out of my basement office and say to him, I need you to get Aiden, he doesn't even realize Aiden needs anything. I know that sounds
Okay.
awful, but it's just, he so hyper focuses on everything.
Okay, so how does this all make you feel? How is the sensation in your body? How does it make you feel? Happy, sad, anger,
I'm stressed
stressed, stressed out. And how connected are you to your resources when you are stressed out?
How am I connecting with my resources?
When you're in your inner resources, how much connected are you with them when you are stressed out?
What do you mean my inner resources?
I would say, your leadership skills, your management skill, your ability to speak out for what you want for, to create the reality you want.
I mean, I feel like I'm still able to do that, but I kind of get to the point where I just say, I don't want to say give up, but I'm kind of just like, do whatever you want, eat whatever you want, just leave me alone.
Yeah, so there is, my reflection is that there is all these triggers there, okay? So a trigger that pops in and basically in the concept of the conversation that we have today, it's a negative trigger that, distracts your attention. And then when this comes up, you are not connected to your own resources and emotion. It's something that you would like to experience. So it's like calm and focus, and being on top of things and leading the reality that you want. So when you are triggered in that negative way, you lose access to all of these resources. So there are two things that you can do. One thing that I highly recommend, and it has nothing to do with NLP, it's more from a coaching perspective, is have a sit down and talk about the new reality at home. Because, for example, I used to work out of home for many years, and this past week I switched to working from home, and I have many calls and meetings that I do virtually. And this is true story from yesterday. I experienced and noticed that when I sit down and I have my calls, my wife has to leave the office, and we have a dual workstation. We sit one next to the other. And on most days, it would be perfectly fine because we didn't have too much of an overlap between us. But now when we are both at home for most of the day, we have a lot of overlapping. So I experienced that she couldn't work for more than 30 minutes when I was up. And I noticed that, and I came to her and I said, okay, listen, I understand that the rules have changed. Let's have a sit down and see what do you want from me and what do I need from you and what do we all need from this situation to make sure that we can make this work. So the first thing that I would do is just acknowledge that, even the timetables have changed and more people are in the house. And if you are, if you are sensitive, as I feel that you are sensitive, you can probably feel their energy, even, if they're not interacting with you, you can sense the energy and it does influence you in a way. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
so
that's correct. I can hear them. Like I'll hear it when he does.
Yes.
When my fiance does jump in, I can hear him say something to my son, and then his reaction, and then I'm like basically living it just down in the basement, and then I can't concentrate on what I'm doing because that's going on in my head.
Yeah, so you totally feed on an energy even if it's not good for you. So so from a coaching point of view, I would say you need to have a sit down with everybody and talk about how you still be able to manage that ecosystem. And it can be time of the day. So for example, if you are given time before your son comes back from school, and then when he comes back from school and he wants that hour from you, maybe you can take a break given the fact that later on that day you still get that hour back. I'm just making things up right now, but just to show you that there are options if you clearly define the rules. My wife is more productive than I am between 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm more productive afternoon to, like 11, 12 p.m. my time. So we just learned that we need to split the day, okay, between us. So we hold the space through different times of the day. And from a more, behavioral NLP point of view, we can work on those triggers. So, when such a trigger comes up, it won't trigger you in a way that it will drain your resources away, and you can identify them, we dissolve the negative trigger, and you would still stay on top of your game with, being calm and, minded and focused on everything, and then, shift the focus back to you and the resources then you own than, what's going on right now, which is the environment around you. Okay, so those are the two angles that I see. I hope this makes sense and helpful. But the first thing that I would do, like tomorrow morning, is decide what you want, how you would prefer to manage the space, and have a talk with everybody about how the rules have changed.
Okay.
Is this helpful?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any more questions? Okay, so I want to come back to my request, everybody, if you don't mind. And so as I was saying earlier, that you are all here because you're leaders and creators. You're leaders in your society, and you're leaders of yourself. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call. And for me, part of seeing myself as a leader is to know what I say and how I say it. And I want you to know that this message is not a scientific fact, because I'm also very careful with what comes out of my mouth. It's not a scientific fact, but this is a reflection of the messages that I receive and hear and see these past few weeks. And we have like a huge struggle, and I would say almost even a battle between forces of light and forces of darkness and low energy right now going on in the world. And we get to choose which side we want to take. So my request to you is choose to be the light. Choose to be minded about what you say. If something is in effect, I see like WhatsApp messages going on with different groups, like starting tomorrow, everything will be worse because the incubation period is over and now more people will get sick and die. This is an effect. I don't know who the doctor or so-called doctor who wrote it. It's just a text message that goes on from one place to the other. And then I see people sending this and forwarding this in so many groups. So we have a responsibility to ourselves, to our families and our communities to be responsible and, lead the way. So choose to stay at home to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Be very minded about what you put in your body, what you eat. Okay, this is how you treat your vessel. Vitamins, water, good food, and also about what's coming out. If you say something, make sure that this is a message that serves for good, for kindness, and for life. This is my request to you. It's been a pleasure serving you here today and getting to know each and every one of you. And I'm so grateful for the questions. And again, thank you so, so much.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining. The questions were amazing. This webinar, I walked away feeling so much better. I hope that all of you feel that same way. And that's really what the goal of this collaboration was. I highly, highly encourage each and every one of you to set up a time with Yasaf. If you felt like this was helpful, trust me, when you talk to him one-on-one, it's going to be even more amazing. Thank you again so much for joining. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe. And if you need anything, here's our contact information. Reach out to us, and we are here to serve you. This webinar has been recorded, so if you want to come back and re-listen, we will be sending an email out within the next 48 hours. So thank you again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.